Greetings, North American Customer Centricity Award Judges Panel. Hi, my name's Chris Dole. I am the Chief Customer Officer at AuditBoard. I'm joined by the talented Brittany Liu. We are absolutely thrilled, and on behalf of the entire AuditBoard team, thank you so much for considering us in this category of measurement within the CX within CX. We have a paradigm we're anxious to share with you. It has helped us stay very focused on business needs, customer needs, and then also helps us, manage performance of our individual teams and individual players as well. But before we get into that new paradigm, the obligatory company slide. AuditBoard is an audit and risk management cloud-based platform that has won several awards for its ease of use. We are a very fast-growing business, so we do need to keep up with scalability, and we are very, very blessed to have a very a fantastic set of customers, over 1,200 big brands. I mean, if you look at these brands, we're very, very lucky, very fortunate. 6 of the Fortune 10, 30% of the Fortune 100, and 25% plus of the Fortune 500 are already customers. And again, AuditBoard uses that system to help manage risk across a whole slew of vectors and to do it much more efficiently. So what kind of value do we bring to these customers, and why do we measure the customer experience? Why would we care? Well, several reasons. Let's start with the basic premise. Customer success is a multidisciplined, a multifunctional practice, and it's really important to find common KPIs that can service and help drive the focus of all of those disparate functions. And so that was one of the problem statements or challenges that we wanted to try to address. Also, we're a big shop that's that cares a lot about that customer journey and what we call those critical moments that matter. Those brand touch points along the journey that delight a customer and lead them to want to do more business with you, or sort of leave a customer scratching their heads wondering what just happened. So this paradigm helps us to solve that problem. It also creates an ability for us to loop back feedback from customers and from market back into our product and innovation teams. Why did we do it? We clearly wanted to get our work efforts aligned very, very cleanly to the corporate goals. As I mentioned, AuditBoard's rapidly growing. We have to scale quickly, and we want a dashboard that's not going to change radically over time, but that helps inform and grow and evolve as our business evolves. This third bullet is really, really important. It's the focus on the business outcomes, customer outcomes, and then the needs of our employees as well. And so, I'll share with you a little bit on that. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to having happy customers. We want customers getting value quickly, because those customers are most likely to renew and expand their wallet share. And with that premise, we roll into what we call our Care Plus metrics system, CARE. And you can see CARE stands for CSAT. How are we measuring NPS? How are we measuring CSAT at support? The adoption. How do we measure that critical initial time to value, or time to initial value? That's really, really important, again, because if you got happy customers getting value, your ability to retain and then expand wallet share goes up. The plus has everything to do with our employee base. We care very much about our employees. We care very much about employee sentiment and health. We do that on a quarterly basis, and it's just super important for us to, without strong employees that are super engaged on the mission, this care metric system will fail anyway. So that's a critical part of this. And with that, we'll talk about kind of the 5 steps that we took to implement and get this off the ground, and then Brittany will dive into some of the details for you. So first, making sure that company goals, company targets, very, very clearly defined and well understood, and that we understand what is the telemetry, what kind of measurements do we have existing today that map to that, and which ones do we have to build. So that's, you got to take stock, right? Take inventory out of the gate. Secondly, make sure we set our targets so that they align perfectly to the company goals. That was also a key step. This third one is actually critically important. Yes, you've got to build a dashboard. I think that goes without saying. But making sure that this Care Plus system is socialized and visible across the entire business, absolutely critical. And what happens when you do that, other functions start to lean into improving adoption or improving CSAT or generating leads that improve expansion, et cetera. So once you've got all that socialized across the business, make sure that you know who's going to own which specific KPIs, and then ultimately their teams can start to build their roll-up objectives, their roll-up KPIs that feed into that macro system. It probably won't surprise you that this is a paradigm that can be iterated on and should. We do it on every 6 months. We sort of look critically: are we still measuring everything that we need to, and is the system serving us? I will say that retention expansion measures don't change all that often. CSAT even less so. The adoption metric absolutely changes on a pretty regular basis because your product changes, new products come out, new methodologies get invoked, et cetera. You get more efficient. So think in that order. And what's nice about this, and we're not going to spend time talking about the optional benefit, is once you've got that common yardstick, that common rubric, that can be applied. The results of that can be applied across literally every function of CS to manage variable compensation conversations. So, if you're in support, your impact on CSAT and adoption is pretty high. If you're in renewals, your impact is clearly much more around retention and expansion. So all you got to do is adjust the weighted average across this common yardstick, and you can manage a variable compensation very, very effectively and efficiently. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brittany to tell you a little bit about some of the specifics within each of those pillars. Brittany?
Thanks, Chris. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper into what are these actual measurements that we're tracking as a part of the Care Plus model. So C being customer satisfaction. We're looking heavily at customers like receiving value early on. So we're tracking their satisfaction post onboarding. How was that initial onboard experience for them? Plus, throughout the customer journey, we're looking at NPS and CSAT. So we've got various touch points where we're asking customers and measuring their sentiment. To highlight with NPS, historically, we've been emailing that survey out to our customers on an annual basis. Well, based on this Care Plus model, we realized we weren't getting enough feedback from our customers. So we worked closely with the product team to implement something within the platform. So on a more frequent basis, we're able to gather that satisfaction and sentiment from our customers. We're also looking at the percentage of our customers who are references. We know if they're happy, healthy, receiving value from AuditBoard, they're going to be willing to share their story with their peers. And then, of course, we're looking at product usage. So we want to make sure that our customers are getting value and using the platform that they purchased. And then on to A for adoption. So again, time to value is huge. When customers purchase something, they want to get value quickly. So we're measuring how long they're spending in that onboarding phase. And then looking at R for retention. AuditBoard has strong renewal rates, but we want to keep a close eye on that number and ensure we're still keeping track with that high number, and if anything, exceeding that number. And then E for expansion. Happy customers are going to want to buy more from AuditBoard. So we have a close eye on how many expansion opportunities our team is generating. As we're having these one-to-one conversations with customers, we're able to easily identify these and then pass them on to the right team for follow-up. And then the plus. This is a critical one. Happy employees are going to mean a happy customer base, a growing AuditBoard. So on a quarterly basis, we're checking in with our employees. How is AuditBoard working for them? Do they find work-life balance? What are their career opportunities? How is it working with their peers across AuditBoard? So we look at this really heavily to make sure that our employees they're happy here. So now let's take a closer look at Care Plus in action. So since implementing Care Plus, there's been two key successes that we found. So the first one is a heightened focus on NRR. Our NRR is good, but it wasn't optimized, or it wasn't as good as it could have been. So thanks to Care Plus, we're able to see this number on a regular basis. And as a result, there's a heightened focus on it amongst the entire customer success team and even company-wide. So we're leaning more heavily on the other groups, sales, marketing, to support us to drive this expansion within the customer base. As a starting point, we're right around 17-20% NRR, but our goal is to get to that 25+ number. We want to be industry leading in this area.
So another use case that fell out of the implementation of the Care Plus system is reducing that sort of critical time to initial value, right? Our onboarding teams, we've got hundreds and hundreds of projects in flight at any given time. There's an average age. There's obviously an aging report for some of the projects that are taking longer. Projects come in lots of different sizes and shapes and colors. And what the paradigm and the measurement system has done is it's really elevated the visibility of that backlog and that long tail of projects, and some really, really fantastic things have resulted out of it. I mean, first off, just what you measure, you can improve. I mean, the project durations have come down just by themselves because we've just, raised visibility on it. But more importantly, teams, the implementation team in particular, has gotten very, very creative in some of the methodology and the tool set that they're invoking and bringing to these projects now. We've taken sort of individual projects or parallel projects and kept them concurrent as opposed to doing them serially. Some of the tool sets been evolved considerably that has brought down that time to value. We implemented a whole new team called the Center of Excellence team. Think of that like the Delta Force or the ninjas within our implementation teams. These are the folks you typically bring into some escalated project, but now we've got that team focused on improving the skill set across the implementation organization. Yes, they still work on those sizable projects, but also from implementation's perspective, that's the funnel and the communication conduit into the product and innovation teams. And that whole specialist team has just done tremendous strides and improvements on time to value. We looked very critically at the tool that we use to manage the backlog of our projects and in onboarding. And what was clear was that we weren't getting quite the level of visibility that we needed. So the operations team leaned in, scrubbed on that tool. Now we're getting forecasts with efficacy and credibility that we never had before. And that's all a result of sort of raising the spotlight on the importance of that initial time to value. Lastly, we implemented a new welcome committee. So, as opposed to deal signing and then customer doing nothing until, an implementation manager becomes available, now a welcome committee engages them in the first 48 hours, provides that customer with a whole slew of research, learning and development, checklists and data that they can start pulling together and preparing so that our initial kickoff is that much more effective. And in the unlikely event, it does happen sometimes where a customer just has to hit pause on the project and come back to it. Well, that customer, goes back over to the welcome committee, which is a far more cost-effective team for us to manage than an implementation manager chasing it up for month 2, 3, 4, et cetera. So all of these sort of operational and process changes are a direct result of the Care Plus system going into play. And so, in closing, let's just talk about the impact. What we love is we've got one dashboard that is ubiquitously applied across all functions within CS. It also aligns perfectly to the company goals, helps us drive better outcomes for customers. And in an AuditBoard's case, we actually use it to manage variable compensation as well. And hopefully folks that hear this story will want to do that as well. As Brittany also mentioned, this really has helped us identify high value targets for expansion. And that's really, really led to, positive strides on our NRR. And then lastly, on the NPS, response rate on sporadic emails was really, really low. Well, once we brought that NPS system into our console, and folks inside the product are then getting presented with an opportunity to give us feedback. Not only do we get more feedback, but it's real time, and we then feed it directly in to our customer health index. So our scoring is just that much better as well. Those are all positive impacts of this paradigm. But I think the most important one, and this I opened with and I'll close, this provides tremendous focus across the entire organization. And I'm not talking about just customer success, the entire company, about what's really, really important to take care of our customers, or the other way that I like to describe it, our paycheck continuation program. So it does get all of the functional areas aligned on that. Our ability to deliver customer outcomes is that much higher. And then, as I mentioned, we can manage individual and team performance as a result too. And with that, I want to thank you so much for considering us again for this award. We're absolutely thrilled to be here. And on behalf of the entire Audit Board team, thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.